from Connecticut and the ranking member of the Appropriations Committee.
Good morning. I want to say a thank you to you, Chairman Smith, and to Ranking Member Neal for hosting this hearing today as we prepare for one of the most important tasks ahead of this Congress, negotiating a tax bill that responds to the cost of living crisis in this country. But first, if I may, I want to pay tribute to a dear friend, Bill Harris, who recently passed away and fought for decades for the expanded child tax credit. He recognized and he understood its ability to address the economic security of middle-class families, working families, and vulnerable families. Today, families live paycheck to paycheck in the United States. Their wages have not kept up with costs. The economy is not working for them, and it is children who suffer the most, whose futures are dimmed by the policies that we choose in the present. While families struggle, corporations are richer than ever. Their price gouging has driven prices even higher. Dish Network, FedEx, Salesforce, T-Mobile, these corporations and dozens of others paid no federal income tax from 2018 to 2020 under the Trump tax law. 95 companies in the Fortune 500 and the S&P 500 paid less than 10% tax rate, up from 58 in the pre-Tax Cuts and Jobs Act era. Yet, the 2024 tax rate for a married couple making just over $23,000 is 12%. How do we address this deeply unjust system? The answer is to pass My American Family Act, which would restore the largest middle-class tax cut in a generation, and which is the antidote to inflation and to child poverty, the expanded monthly child tax credit. When we passed the child tax credit in the American Rescue Plan, it reached nearly 36 million households, 61 million children. It gave real money back to millions of working families in the form of monthly checks, cut child hunger by a fourth, and brought child poverty to the lowest recorded levels in history. And the expanded monthly child tax credit returns $10 for every dollar spent. How? Because the child tax credit helps children learn more, earn more, and grow up healthier. It improves educational attainment, lowers health care costs, reduces encounters with the justice system, and boosts lifetime earnings. Making the expanded child tax credit permanent through my legislation, the American Family Act, is how we make a lasting positive impact on all of these issues all at once. Indexing the child tax credit is an essential aspect of the bill, which will make sure that the value of the credit is not diminished over time. I am pleased to see that recent Republican proposals agree this is a good idea, in addition to increasing the value of the credit beyond $2,000. Too many programs lose effectiveness because they do not keep up with natural inflation over time. Indexing the credit creates stability and predictability for American families. The American Family Act would be one of the largest investments in American families and children ever. It would change the game and level the playing field for millions of Americans, massively reduce poverty, and provide tax relief for middle-class and working-class families. The time to act is now. When we discuss the tax priorities for this Congress, we must ask ourselves, are we on the side of American families and children, or that of the wealthiest corporations and unchecked billionaires? Over the past few months, members of this committee will hear from corporate lobbyist after corporate lobbyist, begging you to make their tax breaks permanent. They will claim that unless you do, they will have to lay people off, close stores, or move overseas. I will simply urge you to ask them a few questions. Ask them why, when groceries and other costs like childcare skyrocketed, families bore the brunt of inflation and high interest rates, but corporate profits skyrocketed to a record $3 trillion in 2023. Ask them why, according to the International Monetary Fund study of S&P 500 firms, only about 1/5 of their free cash from the Trump corporate tax cut was used for capital and R&D spending, while the rest was used primarily for stock buybacks and dividends. And ask them why, with stock buybacks projected to top $1 trillion this year for the first time ever, we should leave more children behind in order to further pad their balance sheets. This committee has a choice ahead. At the same time as the Trump tax giveaway expires, the current child tax credit will revert to only $1,000 with partial refundability. Chairman Smith, in your district, 3 in 10 children were left behind under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. They do not receive the full credit because their parents or grandparents did not earn enough to qualify. And it is not that they are not working, they are just not earning enough. Yet parents who do not work but collect dividends from their stocks are eligible. Your requirement is not about work, it is about income, and that is wrong. You can make sure that does not happen again. You can make sure that all the campaign rhetoric about making this economy work for all Americans was not just rhetoric. You can do what you promised by passing the American Family Act, the proven method to cut taxes in a way that helps the middle class. Thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you. I now recognize Representative Neil Dunn, the gentleman from Florida. Dr. Dunn is an Army veteran and a surgeon and serves on the House Energy and Commerce Committee. He also testified at our member